Hello, my name is Stevenson. I'm currently a third-year doctoral student in the Department of American Studies and a Women's Studies certificate student at the University of Maryland, College Park, in the United States of America. Thank you so much for inviting me to the Brunel University Knowing Young People 2 conference on Wednesday, September 19th, 2012. I'm honored to be here through video and later through Skype. Today I'll be presenting my research entitled Reputations, Romance, Sex, and Safety, using participant action research to investigate urban Black schoolgirls' sexual decision-making and processes in their school and social media communities. Across the United States, urban Black girls' pubescent bodies are often made intelligible through statistics that outline their experiences with high rates of pregnancy, STIs, HIV and AIDS, and also locate their bodies in narratives of moral panic, poverty, protection, and sexual risk. These narratives often force girls to either identify or disidentify with the label of hypersexual and promiscuous Black girls, and often forecloses on opportunities to discuss the ways that early adolescent and adolescent girls express, regulate, resist, and engage in romantic and sexual activities in their everyday lives. Many public school teachers, administrators, parents, and mentors often encourage Black girls to invest in their educations instead of their friends, boyfriends, or girlfriends. Narratives of middle-class respectability, abstinence, and Black female empowerment are used to dissuade the girls from engaging in early sexual activities so that they can one day enter social, academic, professional arenas outside of their economically disadvantaged neighborhoods and communities. Although these discourses hold hopes for low-income urban Black girls' social and economic welfare, they ignore the fact that schools and social media websites are two of the primary places where youth practice important developmental tasks, such as forging healthy peer romantic and sexual relationships while forming their own sexual identities. Even more, it reinscribes highly racialized, gendered, class, and sexualized power relations between Black girls, adults, and the social institutions that they are taught to trust and rely on. It can be extremely hard for some early Black adolescent girls to move through these highly regulated spaces of the internet and public school as sexual citizens when they are reprimanded for expressing their feelings and concerns towards romance, sex, and desire. This is especially problematic if the girls have limited access to peers and adults whom they can communicate with, and if they have limited access to school-based or community-based medically accurate sexual education classes. It can be even harder to navigate these spaces with confidence if girls' discursive or physical engagement with sex is simultaneously stigmatized and celebrated by their peer networks and also the media entities that they use. Using 2 years of ethnographic data collected while conducting an in-school research and intervention program in Baltimore City, Maryland, in the United States, I aim to offer some insight into the ways that a small group of urban middle school girls discuss their experiences with varying levels of acceptable sexual expression and activity, and the importance of reputation, romance, sex, and safety in their everyday physical and online cultural landscapes. For the past 2 years, between 2010 and 2012, I've directed and facilitated a longitudinal participant observation, ethnography, and participant action research study that works with urban middle school girls at a public elementary and middle school in Southwest Baltimore City, which is actually the school that I attended in the mid to late 1990s for elementary school. This research project aims to investigate the complexities of studying home, urban life, and diverse experiences with Black girlhood. The intervention component of the project aims to provide girls from the ages of 11 to 14 with a space to discuss how they negotiate relationships with their family, their peers, teachers, and expectations for performing gendered and sexualized roles. Lastly, this program aims to look at the girls' academic and economic goals for the future. Baltimore City, Maryland, is an urban hub located approximately 1 hour from the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Data collected from the 2010 U.S. Census and the Annie E. Casey Foundation Kids Counts program shows that of the city's 620,000 residents, approximately 64% of residents are black, 22% of residents are children below the age of 18, and 25% of those children lived in high-poverty neighborhoods between 2006 and 2010. This vibrant yet struggling city has been marked by prevalent realities such as drug addiction, sales, crime, violence, teen pregnancy, HIV and AIDS, high school dropouts, as many other metropolitan areas in the U.S. But these issues do not define the everyday life of Baltimore City, but they are important. These issues have been examined but greatly sensationalized in American popular culture for the past 2 decades by shows with global prominence, such as NBC's Homicide: Life on the Streets, and HBO's The Corner and The Wire. Political, academic, and social narratives often mark Baltimore black females' experiences by labels of sexual deviance, promiscuity, reproductive irresponsibility, and much more. In 2010, the Strategic Plan to Reduce Births in Baltimore City, a study published by the Healthy Teen Network, Johns Hopkins University Center for Adolescent Health, and the Baltimore City Health Department, found that the city's extreme lack of reproductive health care and sex education services available to adolescents in the city greatly impact the rates of teen pregnancy among black female youth. In 2007, black youth between the ages of 15 and 19 comprised 70% of the city's teen population. And in the same year, there were 80.2 births per 1,000 black female teen mothers in this age cohort. This is in comparison to the city's general birth rate of 66.4 births per 1,000 teen moms, and the national average in this year of 42.5 births per 1,000 teen mothers across racial and ethnic lines. When the study was published, it was found in 2010, it was found that Baltimore City only had 5 clinics and 15 school-based health centers that provided adolescent-focused reproductive health care and sexual health care services, but only 2 school-based teen pregnancy prevention programs across the city. One, which was scheduled to close by the end of the 2009 and 2010 school year due to time constraints and resource constraints. Although Baltimore City had 65 after-school programs during this school year, during this time, none of them related to teen health, sexual health, or pregnancy prevention programs. This is very problematic. The lack of reproductive health care services available to youth can be projected only to get worse due to the forced budget cuts that the Baltimore City Public School and Health Department will face due to the Great Recession that we're facing globally and nationally in this country. These entities already heavily rely on donations from grants, private firms, and nonprofits to run mentoring and after-school programs and the few youth and reproductive health programs that we have now. This will ultimately limit the official spaces that youth have to seek out help, advice, and mentorship, and more importantly, solidarity when discussing sexual issues. My study in particular has used participant observation ethnography and participant action research to facilitate collaborative efforts and activities with girls in hopes that they may develop practical and sustainable strategies to make healthy yet desirable life and sexual decisions. During the 2010-2011 school year, I conducted approximately 60 hour-long weekly interactive workshops with 16 6th graders and 22 8th graders. In the 2011 and 2012 year, I conducted interviews for approximately 20 hour long and bi-weekly workshops with 13 new 6th graders and 14 returning 7th grade females. I will continue conducting this research with both of last year's cohorts until their respective 8th grade graduations in June 2013 and June 2014. In addition to having open group discussions, activities in the program include watching and analyzing documentaries and music videos, engaging in artistic and creative group projects for poetry, arts, crafts, posters, dance, stepping, spoken word, but also dividing into small think tanks to find solutions to much of the drama that stems from everyday life, at school and at home for the girls. For the past 2 years, I worked on connecting with and gaining the trust of my participants and the school community. During the first year of research, I primarily used participant observation ethnography that I fused with an educational and focus group style workshop setting. Often, I aimed for the girls to engage in collective discussions of their everyday life experiences. They spoke for a few minutes. Sometimes they spoke for a few minutes on a topic, engaged in activities, and then became bored. On other days, some girls would monopolize the conversation, and other girls would get annoyed or be disrespectful to the speakers. No matter how much I tried to get the girls to choose their conversation topics on their own, they never did. They were excited for me and expected me to explain the objectives of the discussion topics for each week's session, lead conversation, and to some extent provide commentary on their conversation points when they engaged, and advice to questions and concerns. These issues made engaging in participant action research hard because it involved a different model of learning and interaction that drastically contrasted with their average school day. Now they had the choice to choose what they wanted to learn about, discuss, and debate. Now they had the choice to decide when to be social, express ideas about emotions, sexuality, and doing all this while interacting as a single-sex female community. These were very different than the average school day. In addition, this methodological approach forced the girls to learn and feel comfortable with sharing personal information and their intimate feelings about romance and sex with peers and myself. This placed them in a very vulnerable social position, as their peers often use relational aggression, rumors, and gossip to gain social leverage and exclude some peers from somewhat established peer networks, mainly established in elementary school. These girls also described how they were at constant risk of being called out of their name or being publicly and or privately labeled as nasty, a slut, or dummy. My participants labeled seemingly sexually curious or active girls as dummies or sluts because they felt that their behavior was inappropriate for their age. Some of my participants noted that the girls' engagement in sexual acts, from giving blowjobs to giving it up, signified that a girl had low self-esteem or was desperate for attention. Rosenthal and Lewis's 1996 study on urban black girls highlights several key factors involved in sexual decision-making. Some include the risk of being out of control, the consequences of sexual desire and arousal, trust, romanticized notions of relationships, the material benefits of and the raising of social status, the presence of others while engaging in sex acts, parental monitoring, and identification of sexual identity. In addition to social support, Kathy Cohen's 2010 text, Democracy Remixed, discusses how adolescents' sense of power and control in their relationships are central to healthier sexual decision-making. During our workshop discussions, many of the girls expressed their desire to be in control of their relationships and their reputation while in these relationships. These include both physical and online relationships, to be clear. Even some girls noted that when they had friends with benefits, i.e. friends for sexual benefits, they wanted to set parameters around what the relationship entailed and who would know about what they did in that relationship. Many girls could not understand why some girls constantly let themselves get played by boys or only wanted one thing, sex. They saw these girls as emotionally weak, powerless, and stupid hoes. They constantly noted that the girls should have known better not to get involved with those crazy boys. The politics of representation for the girls mattered even more in online spaces because the girls understood that posting rumors, pictures, or videos about their romantic and sexual activities online left them completely vulnerable to social ostracism or celebration. Online platforms are highly visible, no matter one's approval of front networks to permanent, even if you have the power to delete some items and are way too public. Although my workshops with the girls offer a time and space where we can discuss issues such as self-esteem, body image, peer conflicts, romance, sexual desire, and activities, the aforementioned sexual politics surrounding age, race, gender, and school and online reputation often interrupt the possibilities for creating truly safe spaces within these workshop settings. My engagements in this project have shown me that in order to momentarily provide outlets for discussion, safe discussion, around romance, desire, sex, and sexual risk, adult facilitators have to strive to foster an environment that tolerates mutual respect, active listening to each other's experiences, honesty, and self-reflexivity. Because of the sometimes harsh and punitive nature of my participants' social interactions, I had to play the role of the strict disciplinarian, the teacher, the researcher, but also the friend at different moments to maintain control of the social environment in the classroom. My position as the ethnographer was often overlooked by some of the girls. They and I were often aware of my position as a 23-year-old black female, first-generation college student, and graduate student. But they knew that I resided in the community from the ages of 5 to 17, and that I attended the school while I was younger. This forged a connection between us. Therefore, I was not and could not just be an objective and quiet observer. I had to participate in the girls' social interactions and be both an insider and an outsider in their social circles. Although the girls never directly disrespected me, they were very disrespectful to each other sometimes due to the nature of the cliques. I often resort to using the same techniques that I learned from my elementary school teachers at the school when I was a student there. Sometimes I had to turn the lights off, silence myself, raise my hand high in the air so the girls knew that I meant business and that I would not continue the session until they were respectful to one another and quiet. Many other times, the only ways to get the girls to be quiet was to really act like their teacher and to raise my voice. Sometimes I had to yell, "Be quiet!" Once I started to show that I had a tough side, in addition to my usually calm and friendly self, the girls started to listen a lot more. They were testing me, but I think I won. Verbal conflicts and even physical fights, seldom but sometimes, occurred at someone staring at another person too hard, invading someone's personal space, spreading rumors about someone, or calling someone a bitch. Even if these issues did not start within my classroom, the girls used the space as a tool to air out these conflicts, sometimes with resolutions and sometimes not. I soon realized that this venting and this debate time would be crucial and important aspect of the research and intervention program. Although at times it was mentally exhausting to listen to so much confusion every week, I found it to be productive chaos at the end and loved being around the girls and learning their stories. This seemingly safe space allowed my participants and myself to be situated in, transgress, and debate traditional ideas and ideals for performances of black femininity and respectability. It became a space where girls could be what they wanted to be. They could be what Significant Fordham characterized as those loud black girls. At times, they could engage in what Janella B. Cole and Beverly Sheffield characterized as gender talk and everyday talk, and what Patricia Hill Collins so poignantly describes as the productive and collective spaces of black feminist thought. This methodological approach to participant action research and participant observation ethnography were very productive for this research space. It provided a time for students researchers, and mentors to effectively bridge the gap between the girls' experiences in their everyday lives, their schools, and online communities. My program aims to promote the girls' healthy social and sexual development, self-esteem, conflict resolution, and interpersonal decision-making skills, and I think that many of these goals were accomplished. This approach acknowledges that the construction of safe spaces when discussing sexuality is important, but it also recognizes that these spaces and intervention programs are and can be ephemeral utopias and dystopias that change and rise with the fall of adolescent emotions and developmental experiences. Thank you for your time and thanks for listening, and I hope to join in a conversation through Skype soon. Thank you. Bye.